So, if you live in Singapore, you've probably heard of the thing that happened at River Valley High School. You know, the thing where a 16-year-old boy killed a 13-year-old boy with an axe in the school bathroom. At 11:40 a.m. on Monday, 19th July 2021, the police were called to RVHS where they found the body of the 13-year-old in the bathroom with multiple wounds. SCDF paramedics pronounced him dead at the scene, and the police found that the boys did not know each other, which makes the whole thing like 10 times worse. In 2019, the 16-year-old had an assessment at IMH after he attempted to commit suicide. He was taken into custody for his own safety, then was discharged later. This was when he was in Sec 2. The 16-year-old is taken into custody at the Complex Medical Center for psychiatric observation and will remain there until 10th August, his next court appearance. The immediate day after the murder is Hari Raya Haji, a public holiday and a day of celebration for Muslims. I cannot begin to imagine the torment that would be. I mean, how do you celebrate when somebody literally got killed yesterday at the place you go to every weekday? The very next day, Wednesday 21 July 2021, RVHS students go to school and after a 2-hour care program, I don't know what that acronym means, they resume lessons, which is all kinds of fucked up. They had a worksheet where they identified emotions and had coping strategies. On that day, reporters and journalists also camped outside the school, taking pictures of the students entering the school without their consent. On social media, people spread rumors about the students involved, alluding to the 16-year-old's mental health and his family background. Singapore institutions are thoughtless about mental health. This isn't new, but it's still pretty fucked. I mean, considering that the students had to go to school the next school day, it is pretty yikes. I'm not mentioning the parents because depending on their employment situation, they may or may not receive adequate grieving time. Having to study just 2 days after a murder happens at school has to be like one of the most bullshit things to go through. While school does serve the function of being a place for kids to be safe, supposedly, while their parents are at work, it's probably not the move to have them study when they haven't processed their trauma yet. I mean, look at this care activity sheet thing that they were given. While it is beneficial to identify emotions after a traumatizing experience, it's probably not in anybody's best interest to put the responsibility of helping students process their experience on teachers, especially for students who don't have a good relationship with their teacher, and especially for teachers who haven't processed their own trauma themselves. Premise conclusion, I think it would have been heaps better to pause lessons school-wide for the whole week and let form teachers be with their classes for the school day, allow them to grieve together before releasing them at dismissal time. As for the reporters and journalists taking pictures of students entering the school, maybe don't. I understand that news articles need pictures to some degree, but it's way more ethical to find old pictures of RVHS students and ask whoever owns rights to the pictures for permission to use them, rather than basically harass current RVHS students. And if you can't find photos, then it's not like the news articles have to have pictures at all. Considering the fact that petty gossip about his family background is what some people in Singapore turn to after something so tragic happens, is really fucking insane to me. Not like, like insane medical, but like insane senseless. The 16-year-old has a history of mental illness, yes, but to vilify and spread negative rumors publicly about him and his family right after something like this happens is just unfathomably ignorant. As outsiders, we know nothing about the situation. Speculation isn't warranted here. To the students of River Valley High School, I hope you're all coping okay. You've all probably been linked to mental health hotlines a million times, but just in case this video triggers anything, they're all listed in the description as well. For over 18s, murder comes with the death penalty.
Death penalty.
this isn't the case for under 18s who receive lifelong imprisonment instead. There was a whole discussion to be had about the death penalty, but that's not what the conversation surrounding the justice system has to be about. Restorative justice for the victims doesn't seem to be the case, since the punishment of the offender only provides some superficial sense of healing. It seems to be the case that our justice system focuses on rehabilitation, if the Yellow Ribbon Project is to mean anything. Lifelong imprisonment thus presumes that a person who commits a murder under the age of 18 is impossible to rehabilitate into a functioning adult. Upon looking into lifelong imprisonment, however, I found that parole after 20 years of imprisonment is a possibility. But then I found out that the living conditions in Singapore prisons are super horrible and seem archaic as fuck. And I cannot fucking imagine being able to live under those conditions, mental illness or no. There are no beds, so inmates sleep on the concrete floor with maybe clothes to soften the surface. There are no fans, so it's really fucking hot. There's a window, but there's a metal grill, so it's really dim. You don't get underwear, what the fuck? There are no clocks, you only know what time it is by meals and daylight. You get 45 minutes to an hour of outside time, which seems like really little. Number 1. Singapore schools suck at helping students cope with trauma, and maybe you should hire younger people to help with students' counselling. If you speculate on and spread rumors about the background of someone because they committed a heinous crime, you suck and you should stop. I think the living conditions in prison should be better. Probably give them like mattresses or beds and fans and clothes and like, yeah. Also, more than 45 minutes or an hour of outside time. You cannot seriously expect people to live in these conditions for years and expect them to adjust back to normal civilian life after leaving prison. Anyway, I've probably talked way too much about the prison thing, but it is something I'd love to know more about. So if anybody has resources, I would really love to pin them in the comments. Today, I bring you information about Singapore's criminal justice system. Tomorrow? Who knows?